So I'm back at ATS. I'm here for the load-in of Artneun 2, the biggest Porsche show here in Melbourne and Australia. So they're getting some of the cars set up today and they're putting some of them on the plinths. They've got security here all night. I'm here in the 356. She doesn't get a bit of a show at tomorrow's event. We're bringing the 930 down, but she's running quite well. I had a little bit of a problem with a brake light and a tail light, but that was all fixed this morning. ATS, and we're off-road with a Porsche Safari. Now you know it's going to be a cracking event when you've got a Rothmans livery Safari parked out the front, 993 Safari. So everybody's getting set up. We've got another Safari here getting ready to be lined up for tomorrow. Big Sparties and a spare tyre on the roof. We also carry one of those from time to time. We dropped a video on this 924 just the other day. It got down here, but not by its own power, because currently it doesn't have an engine in it. Now a Singer DLS, we might interject with some footage we got earlier. We've got a Singer 69 of 75. It's a 1991 reimagined in June 23. Carbon fibre throughout. And then I think we might be able to capture it there. The signatures are all from the people in the factory who helped build the car. That's a lot of people.
Ordered the car circa 3 years ago, and the design process I'd surmise probably took me another 6 months and 2 trips, maybe 3 trips to the UK. But they sold me after the first trip when they let me take the Classic for a spin, which then made me decide to purchase a Classic as well. But they're a phenomenal car. Rob and his team do an amazing job. Franchetti brothers are brilliant in terms of giving you some of the technical specs on what the car can do, and the whole journey has been fantastic, and very fortunate to have a one of 75 only in the world and 4 here in Australia. Zagamis do a brilliant job of representing the brand and assisting through the process, because it is, I guess, the actual embodiment of bespoke engineering. Everything on the car I've had an active part in the design. The colour, which is really somewhat outlandish for me. I tend to be a blue or a white individual, but
and the colour is?
It's like an aquamarine green.
Yeah, okay.
But as I was going through the colour palettes with Imogen, who's the design director for Singer, we just actually crossed through this palette going through the blues, and it just stood out to me. So a fairly bold choice, but interestingly enough, as per your comment, it's been very, very positive and very well received thus far. So
I think they really suit that a unique colour as Singer does. I think the shape of the car and the body of the car, I think the unique, like more pastel colours or colours like this really suit that kind of style.
It's an interesting point you make. I mean, they also give you the ability to really delve into colours that you hadn't actually considered. In fact, going through the design process with the guys in LA, because the turbos and the Classics are built out of the LA factory versus these in the UK. But Steve and Alex and the team I work with in LA have been fantastic. Never seen so many different shades of blue before we landed on the exact one that I decided on for my Classic, and it's essentially just a reversal of what we see here, where we see the Porsche in blue and the rest of the car in green. The Classic will be a flip on that, so it'll be the majority blue with the Porsche in green. But the point of continuity, even getting down to, I guess, the finite details of my family's Scottish colours throughout all 3 of the cars that I've ordered. So that's going to be very cool. So they'll be not dissimilar inside in terms of the tartan, but each very individual and eclectic on the outside. But still the incredibly high standards of Singer engineering. So it's cool. It's very cool.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
are you, mate? Porsche 996 GT3 Club Sport in the blue livery. This is no garage queen or trailer queen, because this one goes on track. Now this is a massive space, and in the preview video you kind of got a bit of an idea of how it was going to look, but because the plinths are down now and we've started to get cars on them, it really gives you a perspective of scale. A few more cars rolling in. 993 RS. I've seen this one around a little bit, but not too often. Cracking wheels. Look at the interior. This will be on show tomorrow. And then we've got a 928 Platinum, Weiss Gold Platinum. Is definitely one of those. So I appreciate we've got the Singer over there, but this is a holy grail car. 1973 2.7 Porsche RS. The owner's gone off for the afternoon and we are now sneaking through the letterbox of a window. We've got a Speedster on a trickle charge. They do look a little bit odd with the old roof on. Curtis has got a model car collection to match the 993 GT. Have we got any more?
Oh look, I've got a lot more, but you know, I'd rather have a real car. But I can't afford it, so the small thing will do.
No, I'm probably the same. I could probably afford the small one, not that one. GT3 Touring. I'm assuming that's a paint. Oh, it's an ST. It's not a Touring. Look at that. Well done. Another ST in the wild, and I've only ever seen these in black. That is a great spec. So it's not just green, it's Schmuna green. Where's it come from?
Overseas on a plane.
Oh.
Yeah.
A 996 RSR. It flew in from Germany on an Emirates flight. It must have been just a couple of days ago, really. Be interesting to see who kind of picks this out as one of the very special cars here at the show, because it is only one of three, and I think you've got to know your Porsche to know what this one is all about. There's racing history on the roof. Number 84 there. Well, that was a safe landing. So this has had $1.2 million spent on it, and it's currently on the market for $160,000. I think it's down at YTG. They are a local car dealership. But this is a full carbon fiber body. Like, look at this thing. That's $160,000. Think of how much fun you can have for 160. My God, look at that gearbox as well. Let's get in there. And Brendan and the team are putting on a real show here tomorrow. They have got some world-class paint to sample cars. Now these are, I know paint to sample is very rare, but these must be only one or two. Take a look at this. A GT3, look at that. Special order all the way from Porsche. While we're on it, that must be the smallest Vic Rose number plate ever. So the guys are setting up the Safari, 68 with a Golf livery behind them. We keep bumping into that Golf livery car. He's had a couple of liveries every time we bump into it, and then every time we see the owner, they say they're going to change the livery again. It's just an ever-evolving car. Now I think we've seen this car at Porsche Brighton. This is I think it's a GT2, I think it's the RS, full carbon fibre. Yeah, GT2 RS Club Sport, driving off into the distance. These are the tyres before it just drove off. Just love the Michelin on the side of them. And then here, the exhaust, because it's up high, we often don't get to see that. And the titanium has got a little bit of colour there. Now this is a real wing. And the 25 on the rear designates that it's one of 25 cars in the world. 2 in Australia, apparently. Yep. Just needs a little bit of a push. For a moment there, I thought those stickers were defect notices. Old buckies here as well. This is Greg Newton's buck that he uses for his 356 body panels. There we go. I've done a video previously with Greg with his electric 356. Great to see this kind of stuff down here as well, not just show polished cars. Busy, man. Yeah, too. Woo! Carrera RS. It's so clean in the white. So clean. And the 993 RS, and just sneakily down here, we've got the 928. Here we go, down the wood yard, got a sneaky 928. Bam, there she is. That is a great spot. What a location. Absolutely brilliant. So we're just saying, is this Carrera white, Grand Prix white, or just white? Apparently it is Carrera white, because it's got a bit of a hue of blue in it, which with my old eyes, I most definitely cannot see. Here we go, a new one that we haven't seen. Very similar to the drink that I'm trying to inhale so that I don't get dehydrated. GT3 Touring. There we go, there's the Touring badge. Nice sounding exhaust. Bit of a rumble there. There's a bug, there's a magic coded bug. This is Bahama Yellow, and that is not what I thought it would have been. I thought it would have been some kind of mustardy colour, I don't know. It's more orangey. Bit of coordination here as we try and get it all sorted out. It's got a nice like tartany brown interior. I don't know if that's a modified or stock exhaust. Potato chip, it's a ripper. Roof here with a big turbo. This is not a K27, this is by far bigger than a K27. It does spit flames because we've been out on a couple of drives with this and it has been spitting flames all the way in front of us. Twin exhausts, and both of them have flames coming out of them. It is a roof, a slant nose, and it's gorgeous. 3 litre SC. It seems like it's a bit cammy. It's got a few modifications in the engine. It definitely sounded like it's got modified air intake there as well. This was very cammy. Jed and his 70s 930. Whale tail set up for air conditioning as well. Now that's quite a high trailer to get that off. I'm assuming they've done this before. This is really high though, and the exhaust is tucked up underneath. I don't think we're going to have any problems with it scratching. The 930s and these turbos normally have quite a reasonable height. Oh, we got distracted then, and listen to the sound of that. Oh, we do love white dials as well. Argentiles, steering wheel.
I want to know how he's
White dials, they are the trend. Porsche 914. It's a little bit rusty, it's a project. Oh, look at that. That's a little bit crispy. And it's got a few chunks of wood behind it. It just needs a buffing. And just inside, you can peer through the window and then peer through the floor. So I thought this was 914, 912, 914, get a little bit confused.
Yep.
But it's not. It's a 9146.
Yeah, it's an original 9146. American delivered, light ivory originally, still matching numbers, so it's still got
Oh, so the 6 engine is actually in the back.
the 6 is
Oh, there it is.
right here.
Right there.
Right there. It's 2-litre Majesty.
Yeah.
Why the thing is so rusty, I do not know, but this is how it was imported from America. Maybe got the import papers. I have to double check the dates, but more than 30 years ago, I understand. Bloke called Tony up in Sydney imported it. He then sold it to a guy up near Gympie called, I call him Jas, but I'm not sure his proper name. He bought it about, I think, 25 years ago as his retirement project. And the curious thing about when I went actually to look at it, I was going, oh, this is very familiar, because it was actually on the same road, but about 15 k's closer to Gympie, where I had my 911 stored for a few years after it had been repainted. And as I was driving on the road, I was going, this is kind of uncanny.
Yeah.
And so I bought this from him, and also the Hamilton built 914 that had a 928 motor fitted to it back in the day, which ran in the Porsche Cup back in the 80s. And I'd been hunting for that car for about 15 years, and then when I finally found it, it was just a bare shell. However, as it turned out, I knew a guy called Jeremy who commissioned and drove the car. He commissioned Hamilton to do the build on it back then, and he raced it, and I sold that shell back to him because he wanted to rebuild it with his grandson. So all the guys who originally were involved in that car back in the 80s, all reassembling themselves to rebuild it.
How cool is that?
So that was really nice. And the even funnier thing is that, the weird thing about having my 911, 10 k's away on the same road as this was, and the race, well, what remained of it, which was a race shell, and then Jeremy, who hadn't seen it for about 35 years, lived only 45 minutes away from it. And he's going, where did you find it? I said, about 45 minutes from your house. And so I had thought originally with my hunt to rebuild it with a mate and put a 928 motor back in it. But I thought it'd be better to go to Jeremy and his grandson, given that Jeremy had commissioned the build originally.
Yeah. Yeah, nice for it to go home.
Oh, absolutely. And they're going to do the same thing. They're going to rebuild it and put back a 928 motor. When they were racing it back in the day, they pulled out the motor because it only actually did one race in the series because it kept on breaking cranks. And so Porsche Australia replaced under warranty 3 times a crank, and eventually they wouldn't do it anymore, and so then they dropped a 3.2 litre 6 in it, and,
wow.
And then it was fairly reliable and competitive.
Such a cool history.
Yeah.
And you've got a bit of a collection, so I think we're going to swap numbers and we'll catch up one time, and
cool. Yep.
We'll swing by and see what you're up to. Very cool. I had no idea of the history behind that.